Welcome to As the Story Grows. I'm Brian Patton. Today we welcome Martín and Augusto from progressive hard rock band Ok Goodnight to the podcast. Ok Goodnight just released The Fox and the Bird on June 2nd. The guys talk about growing up in South America, choosing to go to Berklee, creating the lyrical themes and musical landscape that became The Fox and the Bird, and more. The Fox and the Bird is a fascinating musical journey, and I definitely think it's worth your time to sit down with the record and give it a spin front to back. I do not think you'll be disappointed. So I hope you enjoyed today's chat with Martín and Augusto from Ok Goodnight.
Dear son, why do you desiccate this heart? Bleeding dry. No blessings sent down in disguise. Oh, death. Why is it here that you reside in jest? And drain all the color as you drink the rest.
Had some time to work on music, had some other stuff going on that we had to do for our tour and all the upcoming shit we have, so it's been a busy holiday. How about you?
Good, yeah, chill. It's rainy here. I don't know. Where are you guys up in Boston area?
Boston. Yeah. What about you?
DC.
Oh, DC. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was rainy and terrible. That's all good. It's all good. Well, why don't you each of you introduce yourself and what you do in the band? Is it just you two joining me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Casey, the singer, is under the weather today.
No.
So,
All right.
yeah. So I'm Martín. I am the keyboard and guitars.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I'm Augusto. I play the drums.
Nice. Where did each of you grow up?
So I grew up in Colombia and the Dominican Republic, between both of those places.
Yeah, and I grew up in Buenos Aires, Argentina.
Nice.
So Latin America.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
What was growing up like?
It was awesome. I loved it. Yeah. A lot of fun.
Yeah, no, definitely interesting. At least the Dominican Republic aspect of it, because it's full of tourists that stay there indefinitely. So there was a surprising amount of people from like Korea, Germany.
Oh wow.
It was a very, very international childhood.
Nice.
Yeah, it's
good. Good exposure though, right? Like.
Yeah, no, I loved it.
Yeah, that's cool. What got each of you into music?
So my parents were always very into music. More, I think my mom played the piano, and my dad always loved like old progressive rock and like music and stuff. So there was a lot of music going on, and they thought it was important for me to start learning some music when I was like a kid, 3 years old, just for like development purposes, I guess. And I just got hooked, never stopped. Had my ins and outs with some instruments, but then I was just like, it was always there. So it was something that I kind of like had to realize that it was something, I don't know, it was just such a constant, that I was like, this is what I have to do.
Nice.
Yeah.
For me, it was Queen. I heard the Queen's Greatest Hits 2, which for some reason was an album that everyone's parents had. And at least, in at least my social circle, everyone's parents had that CD. And then one of my uncles gave me a Queen live CD, and I was like, I saw Freddie Mercury in tights, and I was like, this is the coolest guy on earth. And that was it.
Nice.
Yeah.
What led you to drums, and then what led you to like guitar, keyboards? Like?
So I actually started on piano, and I think when I was in like second grade in primary school, my dad came back from a trip and he had bought a drum set. I think he had always wanted to play drums, but could never got the chance to actually learn.
No.
So he kind of like wanted to see if I would pick it up, and I did. We had, he brought it home, and I just started taking drum lessons, and I always like never stopped playing.
Nice.
Yeah.
I started with guitar. It was like the main thing for me for the longest time, and then I started playing piano here and there, just very basic keyboard, and then last year of high school, I got really into orchestral music, and I was like, the piano is a great instrument to study harmony and those other things, and so that's kind of what led me more into the piano direction. And so I was a pianist. Then I became a pianist for a while, and then I slowly took guitar again. And so now I do both pretty okay, I guess. Yeah.
Gotcha. I don't know Latin America if it's high school or secondary school down there, but like when you were in your like later school years, what was like your musical taste and influence in your life? Like, were you trying to start bands, and what was the scene like locally? Like, was there a music scene?
Yeah.
So I think like in the later years of high school, I was very into progressive rock, progressive metal, and all that kind of stuff. Like I had just kind of like discovered Dream Theater and Porcupine Tree, all the Steven Wilson stuff, like all the great prog like bands in the world. And there was a big scene in Argentina. I had my band. We were kind of like a rock, kind of like an alternative rock band, It was not that heavy, so we got to play in some nice venues, like play with my friends, from high school. Like it was a band that we formed with whom I did my first album. We used to play a lot. There was a lot of like an indie independent scene, in Buenos Aires. There's a lot of people going out to watch shows. There's like a big cultural appreciation in the city, so there was always places to play and people interested in different kinds of music. So it was really, really fun.
Yeah. I think for me it was a similar thing. I wasn't really into metal for the longest time. I was more into the kind of psychedelic rock.
Okay.
Maybe the heaviest I got was like kind of, but I mean post-hardcore. I don't know how heavy that is, but the kind of blues rock, psychedelic rock, and post-hardcore scene kind of blended in my hometown, and so they were all kind of part of the same thing. And so it wasn't a super specific thing. It was just going to see local bands. We recorded a couple of things in one of the guitar players from one of the biggest indie bands. He had like the studio set up, and we recorded there. So yeah, we were very much part of that kind of local scene for a little bit. Just playing here and there and stuff.
That's cool. Well, then what led each of you to Berklee?
Well, if you want to start this one,
I mean, Berklee. I wanted to do film scoring because it was like a nice mixture of all the things I'd applied, and it's not very specific, right? It's like I've always liked movies, right?
Yeah.
You can do pretty much anything as long as it's appropriate for the movie, and I thought that's cool. I'll do that. And Berklee is known for having a great film scoring program, so that's why I ended up going for Berklee.
Nice.
Yeah, for me, it was Dream Theater, actually. Well, I was such a big Dream Theater fan. Like, I saw that they had gone to Berklee. Like, most of the guys in Dream Theater had come here. So I was like, that's where I want to go. That's what I want to do.
Yeah. Was there an initial, like, culture shock coming to Berklee and, like, Boston in particular, like, the northeast of the States?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I had been in the US quite a few times before, just like as a tourist, so I kind of knew. But living here is totally different. Like meeting like people from all over the US. I think Boston is also such an international city with students and stuff. So it's not, so it's easy to make yourself at home, real quick. You always get like people from different communities, and it was really fun. I remember when we got here, everybody was talking about like the differences in the way we spoke or in the stuff that we did at home. So it was really cool.
Yeah. The thing I like about Boston, which is not really, it wasn't really a culture shock for me. It was, I tend to like it when people are a little bit harsh, right? And people here tend to be loud, and the way they talk and they're driving and everything. For some reason that makes me feel right at home. So I appreciate that. So there wasn't really much of a shock, really. And the international aspect of it is easy to make a nice little community.
Yeah, it's got to be an interesting place to live because it's such like both like a college town and like just like a lot of rich history and locals and like people willing to just be like, fuck you, right? Like,
in Latin America, we are very blunt as well, so we're all very used to it.
Talk to me about OK Goodnight. How'd this project get started?
So we all met in Berklee, I think, in our first semester. Me, Martín, and Martín González, who was our guitarist. We met during Berklee during our first semester, and we kind of like got together to jam. Martín had some songs. We started playing over those, kind of writing some stuff here and there. And he had the idea to call in Casey because he knew her, and she came down to one of the rehearsals, listened to some of our instrumental songs, and she was very down with the stuff we were making, so that kind of set everything off. And we just started practicing weekly, writing music. We recorded our first album, so it was all Berklee based.
Nice. Where'd the name come from?
It came from Martín. So it was, I can't remember who came up with the name necessarily, but there was a funny way in which Martín used to say, "Okay, good night." Before he went to sleep. And like someone's, it was kind of like a running joke for a while, and then someone was like, it wasn't me. I know it wasn't me. I think it might have been him or Ellie or someone. But eventually it stuck, and we were like, sure. It's not it's not like a meaningful name necessarily. It really comes from just that, I guess.
It sounded cool for a prog band.
You mentioning Dream Theater, you mentioning like blues rock and like fusion, like the prog rock stuff, like that really sound comes through, and it feels like as you've gone on, especially this new record, you've delved more into the heavy aspect of music. Has that been like an intentional shift to like we want to go heavier, or just like a natural progression of just like maybe the world was garbage and so you wrote heavy?
I think I mean, of course, whatever is going on with the world to some degree influences whatever we do, but it's often very difficult to say. I think for me personally, I wrote some of my heaviest stuff because I was finally feeling confident enough to write heavier stuff. Like I said, I wasn't really a metal head before, and so I was feeling confident enough to like start writing, actually metal stuff. And I think another important aspect of that was just that this being a conceptual album, we started with the story first, and we were like, this is the story we want to tell. How do we want to tell it? And then I guess the story just took us there. So it was a little bit of us trying to expand musically, as well as to do justice to the story that we had set for this.
Nice. You guys released Limbo in end of 2019, Under the Veil, end of 2020. How was COVID and lockdowns for you as a band, and how did you navigate that? Like, you're a new band, you just put out music, and now everything is shut down. And
that was tough. Honestly, there was some hard times in there. We managed to do Under the Veil. We did a lot of that with COVID going on. So I think we started off really well with kind of like working remotely and doing a lot of stuff, away from the rehearsal room, being able to play. That was good. I think for the concept album that we tackled after, because it's like a lot of very technical writing, and being kind of meticulous about the way stuff is written is very important. And maybe in a rehearsal room you kind of lose that, but it definitely brings on a lot of other problems, like just the fact that it becomes more kind of tedious and much more slow paced.
Yeah.
When you can just jam around, and come through that.
Yeah, and the parts you write are very different. And we started working on this album right after we finished Under the Veil.
Okay.
And most of it was actually done within a year. Most of it was written within the year. We ran into some delays because of, some of us were graduating and starting our professional life here in the US, and so that brings in like visa issues.
Yeah.
So that left like a bunch of delays on our ends, as well as some other life stuff. So the writing has been the quickest part of this process. It's mostly finishing everything, putting the final touches, deciding when it's actually ready, and then since it's an independent release, preparing everything and having the funds to do everything we want to do. So yeah, that's been the most probably I would say the most challenging part, because writing it was challenging, but it's definitely felt the hardest because probably we like to write more than we like to do other stuff.
Yeah.
Playing, other than playing is cool.
The album is called The Fox and the Bird. You talked about it being a concept album. At what point were you like, okay, we want to write a concept album? And how did you structure the concept along with writing and trying to work through lyrics and themes and matching tones of music?
Yeah, so when we decided to do the album, I think, like Martin said, we finished Under the Veil, and we were thinking that the next logical step would be to do an album after doing the EP, and knowing that we were gonna all be here in Boston for a good amount of time. And I don't exactly remember where the idea of doing the concept album came from, but I just have the memory that it was kind of there, and we all were like full into it. And so we decided to start by writing off the story, like not writing the music, just writing the story, and trying to focus on all the details and kind of like specific things we wanted to then encompass musically. And then we proceeded to start writing the songs and kind of like deciding all the little details with the themes and how everything would be connected.
Yeah, and in terms of trying to make it cohesive, it was very interesting because, part of the reason why we thought it'd be a good idea to do a concept album was because it was, at the time, the last project that we knew we could do in the same city, right? Because after everyone graduates, who knows, right?
Yeah.
Visa things, whatever. And so we thought it'd be nice if we made it like the most collaborative that it could be, and have everyone involved as much as we could. So the concept just kind of helps do that, right? Because we all have one thing to reference when we're working together.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's kind of how that came to be. And lyrically, I mean, Casey was the one that managed to put the concept into lyrics. We kind of did some revisions here and there, but she really did an amazing job of telling the story and not giving away too much, because sometimes when they give away too much, I think it just feels like a musical, and it's not what we're doing. But it is a little bit rock opera sometimes.
Yeah. It has its lyrical moments.
Yeah. It's like you want to tell a story and have it make sense without like, this is the point, beating people over the head with like, do you get it? Do you understand?
Show, don't tell, kind of a.
Yeah. I mean, do you want to talk about the concept and the story throughout the album?
Sure. The concept is very kind of basic, I guess, right? There's this forest, this land that's been experiencing the worst drought that they've seen. It's kind of like a fable. And so there's these two, where there's this like gathering of animals, right? And there's these two protagonists, the fox and the bird, and they're kind of the old wise man of the animal society is the raccoon. Yeah. And he gets them together and he says, there's this legend that if you take these certain elements, these certain totems to the top of this mountain where the holy spirits reside, they'll bring back the rain. And so Fox and the Bird decide, okay, we're going to be the ones to deliver this. And in that process, they meet different kind of enemies, basically natural enemies that are just kind of predators, basically, right? Animals that prey on these Fox and the Bird. And we kind of wanted to include a little bit of duality there in terms of, well, the fox and the bird are doing whatever they have to do to survive, right? And they're believing, they're holding on to this thing that no one knows if it's true. And then the other side of that is these other animals are also trying to survive and do their own thing, right? And neither of them is necessarily evil or necessarily bad. It's just they're naturally at odds with each other just by the laws of nature. And so that was a concept that really fascinated us, as well as kind of introducing some level of uncertainty as to how the story ends. Don't want to give too much away, I guess. Want to leave some open.
That's a good synopsis.
To interpretation.
Yeah, for sure. Did you let each element of the story dictate how you wrote the song? Like the drought that kicks off the record is like super heavy and just hits you over the head, sets the tone, and then like the fox and the bird is a like immediate like tonal shift, like and it's like it's great the way they play off each other. How was that writing process with like, okay, this is the theme, this is what we're writing about, so the song should sound like X? Or was it just like let it come naturally and see what happens?
Yeah, I think it was different for different songs. I think we started with the bear. That was the first one we had.
The bear was the first kind of musical idea we had.
And that came kind of without context of knowing which part of the story. We kind of knew it was kind of the main antagonist fight, but I think then we made the fox and the bird.
No, right after that one we made the drought.
Okay. Yeah.
So, because after the bear, we decided to work out the concept, and then I remember working on the sound design for the drought, and we were like, okay, this is how we're gonna kick it off, and this is like we want to throw you into this world, and this is what's happening. And so it was like we had a preconceived notion of what the setting was, right, because of the story that we worked on. But a lot of the times we had to fight our musical instincts, right? There was a lot of being like, we want this song to go there, but that doesn't fit the concept. So we're gonna scratch that, and we're gonna work on something that works with the concept.
Maybe the question would have been reframed better as like, did you write and then maybe like, oh, this would go great with this concept or this theme, more than just like writing, songs in order and trying to fit it that way, maybe. Yeah,
I don't know if we did them necessarily in order, but we did kind of know how the album was gonna go, and we knew it was gonna be at least like one song for each character, and we knew we wanted to have some interludes, like musical interludes in the middle. So we kind of like went choosing what we wanted to do next and tackle them off.
Yeah. A lot of the times, just to be a bit more clear in that question, a lot of the times we worked on demos and musical ideas, and we're like, that would work well for this, or that doesn't quite fit for this concept. So we put that in the back burner. So it was a little bit of both. Yeah.
Did you take more time because A, you're an independent band and it's not like some labels like, we gave you all this money, give us a record. And B, the world was still shut down, and like if you're going to make vinyl, there are delays on that for a year or whatever. Like, did you take some time to really craft and think about like each song and the parts and just like put more time and attention than previous outputs?
Yeah, for sure. I'd say this is definitely the most detailed work we've ever done. Like, I think it actually ran so long in between albums because we were looking at the details.
Yeah.
No, and the fact that we wanted, because we really, really wanted to make it a collaborative thing, we wanted everyone to be as happy as each of us could be. So basically every decision that was made went through everyone. I think we even had discussions about whether or not we wanted a compressor to do like 2 or 3 dB. Like, we went through every single decision together. So I guess when you get into that level of nuance and care, it does naturally take more time.
Yeah. Who did the album artwork?
It was this awesome artist. His name is Connor Nolan. So he did the album artwork, and then Juliana Arciniegas, which is Martin's cousin, she did the singles artwork as well as the lyric video.
Yeah, and your sister?
Oh yeah, and my sister did the cover design, which included the font and everything. So it was
Nice. Are you guys doing any physical releases for this album, or is it all going to be digital?
Yeah, we actually already have some physical copy CDs of The Fox and the Bird, and also of Limbo and Astray, Limbo and
Under the Veil,
all combined into one. So you got those 2 CD releases that you can purchase. You can find that in our Instagram bio.
Nice.
Yeah.
You mentioned getting ready for tour. What's the rest of this year? Looks like the album comes out Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of work.
Yeah, we have the tour going on in July, and then we don't have much planned after the tour.
Okay.
I know Casey's planning on some moving and things, and I think we're pretty ready to kind of unwind for a little bit and let the album breathe and be out there for a little bit. But hopefully we'll get to play some more. We're still working on new material. Yeah. Because we're really excited. We really liked the groove that we got on to for the workflow and everything. So we're still working on stuff. But yeah, so far it'll be the tour, and then everything else is yet to be determined.
Yeah. Is there still a little bit of uncertainty with just like everybody's work life visa status, or? No, not for a long time. Not for a long time. I finalized my visa situation finally in January of this year, which is great. Yeah. And Augusto, he's sponsored by his job to stay here, and Casey's a local, so we're good.
Yeah, we're in that aspect. It's taken care of for a little bit.
Yeah. I got 2.5 years.
There you go.
You would remind me of the gentle breeze in the trees that brought us here. You would tell me to pick up my feet and
Thanks for listening to As the Story Grows. Our intro music was written and composed by Jeremy Hunt. The As the Story Grows theme is by Bob Nana. If you like what you hear, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and give us a rating and review. If you'd like to support the show financially, you can join us at patreon.com/asthestorygrows. Be a part of our community and join the ongoing conversation over on Discord. If you enjoy this episode, share it on social media with your friends. Much appreciated, and thanks for listening.